This is WeatherScope.
Well, the snowflakes continue to fly tonight across eastern Iowa and up into Wisconsin. Travel problems, no doubt about it. There's already been a state of emergency declared for Nebraska. Good evening, I'm Jim Cantore. For the latest information, though, on the severe weather tonight and the heavy rain threat, let's go to Declan Cannon in the Forecast Center.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jim. Good news from the Storm Prediction Center. We at least have had some of the tornado watches canceled, but if you live in northern Florida, there's still the potential for additional severe weather as we're going through, especially the next couple of hours. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we have at this time. As we head into northern Florida, our tornado watch still in effect, and we do have some very intense thunderstorms that are rumbling ahead of this cold front. Now, the cold front has been moving steadily eastbound this afternoon. It will continue to move through the Florida Panhandle tonight, but it's going to move slow enough so that there will be repeat thunderstorms coming off the Gulf of Mexico, feeding on that low-level moist air, and the result will be some very heavy rain, we surmise, especially, let's say, from Pensacola eastward to Tallahassee in the next couple of hours. You'll notice the rain with the embedded storm stretching from the Gulf northeastward, heading all the way up across southeast Georgia. And we want to emphasize that this area has already had anywhere from 4 to as much as 8 inches of rain estimated by local Doppler radar. Now, thankfully, a lot of the wind-damaging thunderstorms that we had earlier this afternoon in parts of southeastern Georgia, eastern South Carolina, and even eastern North Carolina have diminished in intensity. But not these storms here. Wakulla County was under a tornado warning until about 7:15 this evening. That's been pretty much canceled or expired. You do notice, though, we still have very intense storms working their way up towards the north point here of Appalachia Bay, and it's in this zone here in particular that we could be dealing with severe thunderstorms, perhaps tornadic thunderstorms in the next couple of hours. The winds at low levels coming in from the Gulf, lots of warm, moist air. There are increasingly stronger winds coming in at about 5,000 to 10,000 feet above the Gulf and adjacent to Florida Panhandle, and it's that twist in the wind direction from south to southwest, particularly in the lowest 8,000 feet, 10,000 feet or so, which could contribute to tornadic-type thunderstorms within the next couple of hours. So we're hoping we can get through that, and then things will start to settle down a little bit this evening. Now, we say a little bit because we still expect the possibility of very heavy rain overnight. Here's a look at what's happening South Georgia, North Florida, right along the border. If you plan on leaving Tallahassee shortly and heading down Interstate 10 to Jacksonville, it's going to be a little bit rough for a while because this whole area of precipitation does indeed continue to move off towards the east. Farther north, Charleston, all along the low country here, we can see that intense band of storms that pushed on through. Some lingering rainfall behind that. It finally starts to come to an end as we get up towards Columbia in the Midlands. And then as we head farther north along the coast, we're still getting reports of some fairly heavy rain. Earlier this afternoon, a report of a house destroyed. That was in the Ward's Corner area in Pender County. Storms were kicking through at the time, and we did have reports of wind gusts over 60 miles an hour, and there's some lighter rain as we head back into the foothills in the southern Appalachians. Now, speaking of rain, you'll notice on the radar estimates in South Georgia, the Florida Panhandle, and then extreme southeast Alabama, we've had at least 4 inches, and in some cases perhaps over 9 inches, according to local Doppler radar. If you look at the satellite view, you can actually see what appears to be some pretty intense thunderstorms here. Now, what we're seeing are the blow-off, the high-level cloud tops from these intense storms that have penetrated well up into the atmosphere, and we are tapping into the tropical latitudes here with this system. This is a very large system in the upper levels of the atmosphere. The winds aloft actually still coming in from the southwest, even behind the cold front. So it looks like we could be setting up for additional very heavy rain this evening. These storms will continue to form over the Gulf of Mexico. This area of the Gulf here will almost be a loaded gun, so to speak. It will generate continual storms through this evening, and they will then ride up northeastward on that southwest wind flow, and that could cause some trouble with some local flooding. By tomorrow morning, the front is expected to be just about around Tallahassee. We'll still have showers and thunderstorms. Now, we do expect very strong low-level winds ahead of this front across central Florida tomorrow. There's a chance, it's a little hard to tell right now because it's too far ahead of time, but there's a chance that we could have some very fast-moving and what we call low-topped thunderstorms. The storms won't show up very well on satellite imagery, but they will have the potential to produce some weak and short-lived tornadoes as they move to the northeast. So we will be keying in on parts of central and northern Florida tomorrow, and certainly to the north, because an area of low pressure is expected to form off the Jersey, southern Long Island coastline, and we do think we'll have enough cold air trapped in the interior of New England to give us a fairly sustained period of significant snow starting late tonight and continuing into at least the first half of the new week. So it looks like we're setting up for significant snow in the northeast after our record-breaking storm in parts of the plains. To get a look at the rest of the nation's weather and the forecast, we'll turn it back to the studio and Jim Cantori.
Thanks a lot, Declan, for that update. Yeah, mainly rain in New York and Boston, but in the upstate already in Utica, New York, some rain and some sleet mixed on in. Well, it's not going to look this bad, obviously, in Utica, but Omaha just getting absolutely crushed. And look at the heavy wet snow here and what it's done to the trees. Anywhere from 5 to 11 inches locally on south and western sides of Omaha have basically caused the city to shut on down. We've had states of emergency issued for the entire state of Nebraska, and you can see what's happening. 40s up in here today, but the wet bulb, or the temperature at which we look at for snow, is going to drop as the precipitation falls through this relatively drier air, at least at the onslaught. But this isn't the heaviest precipitation. That's expected to probably occur after midnight tonight. But if you are driving north of Albany, if you're driving north of White River Junction, Vermont, even north of Concord later on tonight, get ready for some very active weather. And obviously any of the higher elevations will get into this just a little bit early on, and that's where we think the problems are going to start from. All right, here's a look at the analysis standpoint from Monday morning right through midday Monday. Again, it's northern New England. Looks like most of the rain will end around New York City, but not before we could deal with 1 to 2 inches, believe it or not. That's the kind of rainfall we're going to deal with tonight, and definitely plan on a miserable rush hour tomorrow morning in the big cities in the Northeast, especially New York, especially on into Boston. Stay with us. We'll keep you posted, show you some more radars on TravelWise coming up.
This is your local forecast, weather information you can plan on, because we show it on the 8s of every hour. Local on the 8s on the Weather Channel.